Have you ever noticed people treating you differently as you age? Perhaps offering help you don't need, or worse, avoiding conversations altogether. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Robert Collins, who after 40 years as a geriatric specialist has discovered something fascinating. It's often not our age that changes how others see us. It's subtle habits we don't even realize we've developed. These silent aging habits can make us appear older, less approachable, or even out of touch. But here's the good news. With a few simple adjustments, you can transform how others perceive and interact with you at any age. These aren't about hiding your years, they're about showcasing your wisdom while maintaining your vibrant presence. Today, Dr. Collins will share 6 aging habits that might be aging you prematurely, and the straightforward fixes that can help you reclaim how others see you, before it becomes your new normal. If this sounds valuable to you, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comments which city you're watching from. Now, let's start with the habit that surprises most of Dr. Collins' patients when he points it out. Number 1. Speaking habits that age you. One of the most common habits that can instantly age you isn't about your appearance at all. It's how you communicate. Many of us have noticed an older relative who speaks too loudly, frequently interrupts others, or dominates conversations without realizing it. What you might not know is that these speaking patterns often send unintended messages about your age and social awareness. Dr. Collins explains that these communication issues frequently begin with subtle hearing changes. When someone starts losing their hearing, even slightly, they often compensate by speaking louder, but they can't hear themselves properly, so they don't realize how their volume has increased, he notes. Studies show that by age 70, about 2/3 of us have hearing loss significant enough to affect our conversations, yet fewer than 20% recognize it happening. Take Richard, a 78-year-old former school principal who prided himself on his communication skills. At a family gathering last year, his 8-year-old granddaughter innocently asked, "Grandpa, why do you always shout?" Richard was stunned. He had no idea he'd become known as the family loud talker. After getting his hearing checked, he discovered moderate hearing loss that had developed so gradually he never noticed. The real issue isn't just volume, Dr. Collins points out. When we can't hear well, we tend to miss social cues that tell us when it's our turn to speak. This leads to interrupting others or monopolizing conversations, habits that can make others less eager to engage with us. The good news? These patterns are completely fixable. First, consider a baseline hearing test. Many are free at local senior centers or hearing aid providers. Even if you don't need hearing aids yet, simply being aware of any changes helps you monitor your speaking volume. Second, practice the pause technique in conversations. Count silently to 3 before responding to ensure you're not interrupting. And occasionally ask simple questions like, "What are your thoughts on that?" to create balance in your discussions. Richard implemented these suggestions and noticed a remarkable change within weeks. "People seem more relaxed around me now," he shared. "My daughter told me our conversations feel like a genuine exchange again, not me delivering a lecture." Remember, effective communication isn't about speaking less, it's about connecting more. When we communicate with awareness, we create space for meaningful exchanges that keep us engaged, respected, and valued at any age. What communication habit have you noticed in yourself or others that might be sending the wrong message? Think about your last few conversations as we move to our next aging habit. Number 2. Posture and movement patterns. The second habit that can add years to your appearance happens before you say a single word. It's how you carry yourself. Many of us develop a forward slouch, begin shuffling when we walk, or adopt closed-off body language without even realizing it. These subtle changes in posture and movement can make others perceive you as frailer, less confident, and yes, older than you actually are. Your body tells a story about you, Dr. Collins explains. When someone sees you shuffling instead of stepping or hunched over instead of upright, they unconsciously make assumptions about your capabilities and energy level. The science behind this is fascinating. Research from Cornell University found that observers consistently rated photographs of seniors with upright posture as more competent, alert, and even younger than those with stooped posture. Margaret, an 83-year-old retired nurse, experienced this firsthand. She noticed people had started offering her arms to lean on and speaking to her in that overly helpful tone reserved for the elderly. I didn't understand why until my daughter took a photo of me standing in line at the grocery store, Margaret recalls. I was shocked to see myself hunched over with my arms wrapped around my middle. I looked exactly like someone who needed help. What's remarkable is how quickly this can change. Physical therapist Sarah Jensen, who works with Dr. Collins, points out that posture isn't just about appearance, it's about health. When you stand taller, you actually breathe better, experience less pain, and even think more clearly because of improved blood flow to your brain. The solution doesn't require complicated exercises. Start with what Jensen calls the wall test. Stand with your back against a wall, making sure your head, shoulders, and buttocks touch it. Hold this position for 30 seconds while breathing normally. Try this 3 times daily to reset your posture awareness. For walking, focus on lifting your feet completely off the ground with each step rather than shuffling. Practice walking while imagining a string pulling upward from the crown of your head. And when sitting in conversation, turn your whole body toward the person speaking instead of just your head. This open posture signals engagement and confidence. Margaret implemented these simple techniques and within weeks noticed a dramatic shift in how people treated her. The same grocery clerk who used to ask if I needed help carrying my single bag now chats with me about my day instead, she says with a smile. Standing tall changed how people see me, and honestly, how I see myself. How's your posture right now as you're watching this video? Take a moment to sit up a little straighter and feel the difference it makes. This small adjustment might just change how someone interacts with you today. Number 3. Personal grooming oversights. The third habit that can add years to your appearance involves something many of us gradually pay less attention to: personal grooming details. It's not about looking younger or chasing trends, but rather about maintaining the small grooming habits that keep you looking like yourself at your best. Dr. Collins notes that as we age, we often stop noticing subtle changes in our appearance. The eyebrows that gradually grow longer, the nails that need more frequent trimming, or the hair that requires different maintenance than it did in our younger years. These details can blur the line between looking mature and looking unkempt. The psychological impact of these small oversights goes deeper than mere appearance. Research from the Journal of Applied Psychology found that personal grooming significantly affects not just how others perceive us, but how we perceive ourselves. When we look put together, we actually feel more confident and engage more actively in social situations. James, a 75-year-old retired accountant, experienced this transformation firsthand. After his wife passed away, he gradually stopped paying attention to the grooming routines she used to gently remind him about. I didn't realize how much I'd let things go until my daughter suggested we visit the barbershop together, James recalls. The barber trimmed my eyebrows, shaped my beard, and suggested a slightly different hairstyle that worked better with my now thinner hair. The results surprised him. The next day at my coffee group, 2 different people commented that I looked well rested. A woman I've known for years actually sat down and talked with me for half an hour. Nothing had changed except those small grooming details, but suddenly I was more approachable. The good news is that effective grooming doesn't require complicated routines or expensive products. Dr. Collins recommends creating a simple weekly checklist. Check eyebrows for strays, especially those long ones that seem to appear overnight. Ensure nails are trimmed and clean, and evaluate if your hairstyle still works with your current hair texture and density. For men with facial hair, keeping edges defined makes a tremendous difference, adds Collins. And for everyone, moisturizing prevents the dry, flaky skin that can make you appear older than you are. A simple, fragrance-free moisturizer applied after showering can work wonders. The most important aspect isn't about looking younger, it's about showing yourself respect through self-care. When you take time for these small grooming habits, you're sending a message that you value yourself, explains Dr. Collins. Others pick up on that message and respond accordingly. Look in the mirror today and ask yourself, what small grooming detail have I been overlooking? Taking 5 minutes to address it might change how you feel about yourself and how others respond to you, more than you'd expect. Number 4, wardrobe choices that date you. Our fourth aging habit involves something we all face every morning, choosing what to wear. Many of us reach for the same comfortable favorites year after year, not realizing that our clothing choices might be adding years to our appearance. It's not about following trends or dressing young, Dr. Collins explains. It's about wearing clothes that fit your current body properly and reflect who you are today. The problem occurs when we continue wearing clothes that have become visibly worn, stretched out, or dramatically out of step with current styles. Patricia, a 72-year-old retired teacher, had this revelation at her granddaughter's graduation. I wore my favorite pantsuit, the one I'd had for nearly 15 years. When I saw the photos, I was shocked. The shoulders were drooping, the color had faded, and the fit no longer flattered me. I looked tired and outdated, even though I felt vibrant inside. Research from Northwestern University found that clothing doesn't just affect how others see us, it changes how we behave. Their study showed that people performed better on cognitive tests when wearing clothes they associated with competence and confidence. This phenomenon, called enclothed cognition, demonstrates that updating your wardrobe isn't vanity. It's about aligning your outer appearance with your inner vitality. Patricia decided to refresh her wardrobe with the help of her daughter. We didn't buy many pieces, just a few well-fitting basics in colors that brightened my complexion. The difference was immediate, not just in how I looked, but in how I carried myself. Dr. Collins recommends starting with what stylists call a capsule wardrobe, a small collection of versatile, well-fitting pieces that can mix and match. Focus first on fit, he advises. Clothes that are too big can make you appear frailer, while clothes that are too tight draw attention to changes in body shape. Consider these simple updates. Replace stretched-out elastic waistbands, invest in a good tailor to adjust favorite pieces to your current shape, and choose colors that enhance your natural coloring rather than washing it out. Even updating accessories like glasses frames or watches can refresh your entire look. When Patricia showed up at her weekly bridge game in her updated wardrobe, her friends immediately noticed, Dr. Collins shares. One even asked if she'd been on vacation because she looked so refreshed. The clothes themselves weren't expensive or trendy. They simply fit well and reflected who she is now. Take a moment today to look at what you're wearing. Does it reflect the vibrant, engaged person you are inside? Remember, dressing well isn't about impressing others. It's about honoring the life you continue to live fully. Number 5, negative communication patterns. The fifth habit that can age you has nothing to do with how you look and everything to do with what you say. Many of us develop a tendency toward more negative communication as we age, frequently complaining, criticizing current trends, or reminiscing about the good old days at the expense of appreciating the present. This pattern develops so gradually that most people don't notice it happening, explains Dr. Collins. But it profoundly affects how others, especially younger generations, perceive and interact with you. Robert, a 77-year-old retired engineer, recognized this pattern in himself after a telling comment from his teenage grandson. After I spent 20 minutes criticizing modern technology, my grandson asked, "Grandpa, is there anything you actually like about today's world?" It stopped me in my tracks. I realized I'd become the grumpy old man I never wanted to be. The science behind this is compelling. Neuropsychologist Dr. Lisa Martinez explains that negativity creates actual neural pathways in our brains. The more we complain or criticize, the more our brains become wired to notice things to complain about. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle that affects not just our conversations, but our overall outlook. This negative communication pattern doesn't just impact how others see you, it affects your own health. Studies from the Mayo Clinic show that positive communication patterns correlate with lower stress levels, better cardiovascular health, and even improved immune function. Robert decided to make a conscious change. I started a simple practice of noting 3 things I appreciated each day. Sometimes small things, like a convenient new feature on my phone or a helpful store clerk. Within weeks, I found myself naturally mentioning these positive observations in conversations. The transformation in his relationships was remarkable. My grandkids started calling more often. My neighbors lingered to chat instead of just waving hello. One friend even commented that I seemed younger somehow, all because I shifted from criticizing to appreciating. Dr. Collins suggests a simple technique called the yes and approach. When you catch yourself about to complain, acknowledge the challenge, but then add something constructive. Instead of "kids today are always on their phones," try "kids today have different social patterns than we did, and I'm curious about how they navigate that." This doesn't mean ignoring genuine problems or pretending everything is perfect. Rather, it's about balancing concerns with curiosity, appreciation, and perspective. The result is becoming someone others look forward to talking with, not someone they brace themselves to hear from. What conversation will you have today? Consider how you might bring more balance, curiosity, and appreciation to it, and notice how differently people respond to you. Number 6. Hygiene Blindspots. Our final aging habit is perhaps the most sensitive, yet addressing it can have the most immediate impact on your social interactions. It involves hygiene issues that we may become less aware of as we age, particularly related to breath and body odor. This is something almost no one will tell you about directly, Dr. Collins explains gently. Instead, people simply create more physical distance during conversations or find reasons to keep interactions brief. The science explains why this becomes more common with age. As we get older, our sense of smell diminishes. By age 80, many people have lost up to 50% of their smell sensitivity. Simultaneously, physiological changes like decreased saliva production can lead to dry mouth and increased bacteria, while medications often create side effects that affect body odor. Elizabeth, an 80-year-old retired librarian, noticed that people seemed less comfortable around her despite her active social life. At my book club, I realized everyone was sitting just a little further away from me than from each other. My daughter finally suggested, very tactfully, that I might want to try a different approach to oral care. I was mortified, but grateful, she told me. Elizabeth consulted her dentist, who explained that her dry mouth medication was contributing to her breath issues. We found a simple solution: staying better hydrated, using an alcohol-free mouthwash, and keeping sugar-free mints handy. The difference in how people interacted with me was almost immediate. Conversations became closer and more relaxed. Dr. Collins emphasizes that addressing these issues isn't about vanity. It's about removing barriers to meaningful connection. When someone moves away during conversation or cuts talk short, you miss opportunities for the social engagement that's vital to healthy aging. Simple solutions can make a tremendous difference. For breath freshness, staying well hydrated is crucial, as is regular dental care. For those with dentures, ensuring proper cleaning and fit prevents odor-causing bacteria. For body freshness, wearing natural fibers that breathe, changing clothes daily, even if they don't appear soiled, and using an effective deodorant appropriate for mature skin can resolve most issues. The key is creating awareness when our natural detection system, our sense of smell, may be less reliable, Dr. Collins notes. Establishing regular hygiene routines becomes more important, not less, as we age. Elizabeth found that addressing this sensitive issue transformed her social comfort. Now, when my grandchildren visit, they sit close and give real hugs instead of those quick, leaning away embraces. That close connection means everything to me. Consider your own routines. Have you adjusted them to accommodate the natural changes that come with aging? Small adjustments can make a profound difference in the closeness and quality of your daily interactions. We've explored 6 habits that can unknowingly age us, but remember, each one is completely within your control to change. These adjustments aren't about denying your age, but embracing it with confidence and vitality. By refining how you communicate, carry yourself, maintain grooming, dress, engage positively, and address hygiene, you'll not only appear more vibrant, but actually feel more connected to others. Start with just one change today. Notice how differently people respond to you and how differently you feel about yourself. Age is inevitable, but how we experience it and how others experience us is very much in our hands. What change will you make first? Share your thoughts in the comments below.